Hi everybody, Elizabeth here with Petals and Parchment. Welcome to my channel. Thank you for joining me today. We're working on the Reflective Rolodex 2025 challenge. This is week 7 already. And before we get started, let's go ahead and grab our candles and set a nice peaceful intention for our crafting session today. So glad that you've decided to join me. Now, before we get started today, I would like to take a moment to take a few deep breaths and just get centered and excited for crafting. For some of us, this is the only chance we get to craft all week, and that's something to be grateful for and something that we should get excited about. So when you're ready, go ahead and close your eyes and take a big deep breath in. Exhale that breath through your mouth and try to relax your shoulders. Take another big deep breath in through your nose. Exhale through your mouth, releasing any tension or anxiety or worries you've had for the day. Try to just relax and be in this present moment. Let's feel excited as we're getting ready to explore and create. Take one more big deep breath in, filling your belly with air. And exhale through your mouth, letting all your cares go. When you're ready, open your eyes and let's get started. Here I have the journaling prompts, and we are on week 3. I've included 5 journaling prompts for you. You can find these in the description box in the first few videos. I've got a Google Drive folder where I've given a couple freebies for those joining me for the YouTube that didn't purchase the kit. Also, these are in a permanent Google Drive folder for those that did purchase the kit. You just go to your Google Drive folder, and each month I upload a new set of journaling prompts and some additional freebies for you to work with for that month. Now we're on week number 3, and I'm actually going to talk about number 4, which is strengthening bonds. How can you improve communication or intimacy with a partner or a loved one? I chose this because I'm actually really terrible at communication and I found this out the hard way. My husband is so patient with me. I was never taught how to communicate properly. I lose my temper sometimes, I get frustrated, and that's not a very good place to have an honest, open discussion from. And I think the way that I can work on improving communication, there's probably at least a dozen or more that I can think of, but a big one that comes to mind is listening to understand the other person and not just waiting for your chance to respond. I think something that I learned, for better or for worse, in my tenure as a professional chef was that you have to be short and to the point and say what you need right now because there's just no time. And that's, I think, something that contributes a lot to my inability to communicate properly. So I'll often just try to find the quickest route to the desired outcome instead of considering my husband's point of view or or his feelings sometimes, and I feel terrible about this. I am very task oriented, so I think, okay, I have these 20 things to do by the end of the day. Here's the order I can do them most efficiently. Execute A, B, C, D, E, and move on to the next thing. And Lord help anybody who gets in my way, because I'm very determined to just finish all of the things that I set out to do. And sometimes that's not the best approach. I really need to work on honoring my husband's feelings and things, asking his opinion, you know, on how to handle certain situations, and admitting that I'm wrong when I am. And I think that would go a long way to improving intimacy. We do have a really close relationship, but sometimes the communication is one aspect that is lacking, and I definitely own the majority of that. My husband is actually really patient about it, and good at explaining when I do fall short. And so and because I forget things, he's had to say it over and over, poor guy. And so I feel really lucky and grateful that I have someone who's so understanding about the way that I operate. But I think a way to deepen our intimacy and connection is to reciprocate that more, instead of just being so task driven, slowing down a little bit, and you know, actually communicating instead of just buzzing about throughout my day. And so yeah, so that's kind of what I wanted to share with you today. It was deeply personal, and I hope this gives you an idea of the type of reflection that I'm trying to accomplish during this year-long project. Some things that I want to work on. They say that knowing is half the battle, but I'm not so sure that's the case, because I know all of these things about myself, but actually like slowing down and implementing them is very challenging. And so talking through this with you guys helps a lot to bring it to the forefront, the things that I want to change about myself and my circumstances, and things that I want to work on, because I think each of us is, you know, a work in progress, and there's something that we can be doing every day and every week and every month to become the best version of ourselves. And that's really the ultimate goal. By being mindful of how I can improve communication with my husband, I think that will just bring us all that much closer. And I think if I ever managed, I think he would just be elated and awestruck, actually. So yeah, so go ahead and go over these journaling prompts and think about, you know, what you would like to dive deeper into for yourself. In the meantime, I'm going to do a little journaling. What I like to do is take one of these cards. Some of them say I'm grateful for, and some of them are blank. And I just like to write something on it that I'm thankful for, to bring it to the forefront of my mind. And right now I can't think of anything I'm more grateful for than the love and support of my husband. He really is my best friend and partner in all of this, and I'm really grateful for him. So I'm just going to journal about that now. So if you'd like to take a moment to journal yourself, go ahead and do that. If not, you can fast forward to the art portion of the video. Okay, and I did want to say that these cards don't have to ever be seen by anyone. You could actually rip them up afterwards and throw them away. You could save them. You could collage on top of them, so that it becomes a piece of your artwork. Whatever makes you feel most comfortable, that's the most important thing. And so we're going to get started on the art portion here. So I've got some archival ink by Ranger, and this just means that it won't smudge or smear or wash away with any wet elements. And then I've got a stencil of a heart here. And then I've also got my largest acrylic stamping block. And I thought today that we could do something that I've never done before, which is playing with these alcohol markers. Mixed media paper here, watercolor paper would work as well. You could probably use a piece of cardstock if you don't have any mixed media or watercolor paper. And I've never done anything like this before, but I think it would be fun. You can't dip these in water or anything, so I'm thinking if we just color the background here all over the place and just put some random colors down. These are some Valentine's colors here. Then I'm going to spray the acrylic block, spray it with water, and then stamp it onto the mixed media paper. And we'll see what we get. Alright, they're alcohol markers, so let's get some alcohol and see how that works. Okay, so I got a little rubbing alcohol. Whew, crisis averted. It came off, so if you're too precious about your acrylic block, maybe try some Crayola markers and spray those. And you could also just use watercolor to get an effect. I know that people have used distress pads and they do the same thing. They smear it on the glass and then they spray it with water, and then they get all kinds of cool patterns on the paper. I thought it would be cool to do that with the acrylic markers, so I'm gonna keep going for it here. Or I'm sorry, the alcohol markers, since I know now that the alcohol will take off the marker from the acrylic block if I mess up here. So I'm just going to continue doing this to get some cool patterns on my mixed media paper. Then we'll move on to the next step. Just going to try to use some light brush marks to sort of wiggle that around a little bit. I think the alcohol is actually working better. If you have alcohol inks, you could probably just drop them on there and achieve the same effect. I do have alcohol inks, but this is what I had planned, so this is what I'm gonna go with. Just make a big old mess. Then I've got some baby wipes to clean it up afterwards. What do you think? Getting messy and trying new things right in front, making all the mistakes so you don't have to. Alright. Let's see, let's just drip some of it on here and see what happens. Okay, smush that in there, get some cool patterns. Okay, I'm gonna go dry this and I'll be right back. Okay, I've got that all dried now, and I've decided it wasn't quite as messy and patterned as I would like it to be, so I grabbed my watercolor dish. I still have all that leftover gouache from the last time I used this, the first time I used my gouache, so I'm just going to do some splatters here and try to get a little bit more interest on the paper. Okay, that's a lot better. I'm going to dry this one more time. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back and I've got some really cool patterns on this paper now. I'm very pleased with it. I like how I used the hairdryer and it got these little tendrils, so I'm going to try to get some of that. Now I'm just going to take my stencil, and for the letters that I want to use inside the stencil, I need 11 letters, and I'll show you that in a moment. So I'm just gonna trace all 11 hearts first, and then I'm going to use my stamps, my letter stamps, to put a letter inside each one, and then I'm going to cut them out and use those on the front of my card as the decoration this week. Let's see, I've got 5, I need 11, 6. I can move around, I don't need to stay right there. Get some of this interesting paper over here. Let's see, how many do we got? 6, 7, 8. 9, 10, 11. Okay, and the sentiment that I'm creating in relation to the journaling prompt that I did earlier is going to be careful love, because I think that I need to be more careful with my love, not just to my husband, but to my daughter, to myself. And so I think this is a good reminder for me to just be careful about my love. Slow down and be more mindful and appreciative and comforting and caring and loving and affectionate. I have sensory issues from a car accident, and so it's hard for me to hug and cuddle and stuff like that, and sometimes I forget that my precious husband and my precious daughter need that physical reassurance and physical love. So careful love. Bearing my soul here. Hope that you like this series. So if you don't have stamps, you can of course hand write your letters. You can hand draw the hearts. You can use the template that I gave in the earlier videos for hearts and butterflies. You can use that to trace hearts. You can choose a simpler phrase. You can use a sentiment that's printed. I just thought this would be fun to mark up the paper and then fussy cut out some letters from it. And if it doesn't go as planned, keep trying until you get it. This F is tricky. There we go. That's a good one. So now I'm going to need 2 more heart stencils because I messed up the F. Just having fun, not serious. Sometimes I try to be too perfect and it takes the fun out of things, so it's important to let go and just enjoy the process. Whether you're pleased with the outcome or not, you always learn something that you can then take with you next time you try. Here are all of my letters. I'm gonna go cut those out and I'll be back. Okay, I'm back and I've started gluing down the letters, and because of the word that I chose, I think that it's almost cooler looking if I'm not super careful about getting everything straight. So I found that since they're so tiny, it's super helpful to have some tweezers to move them about the paper, and it's also helpful to put the dot of glue down beforehand. The tweezers definitely help with elements this small. And then I've chosen a focal point, which is a cactus watercolor heart, and I've added a little bit of stickles to the flower, and I just inked around the edges there. So this is reminding me, hey, be careful. Prickly. I'm usually the prickly one, but sometimes both people can be prickly in a relationship. We have to remember to be nice to each other. We're all we've got in this life. And then I've got this sentiment, which I think is also fitting for my journaling. Love is a partnership. Nurture it with patience, kindness, and understanding. Super fitting for my card today, I think. So hopefully you've found something beneficial from this process. It wasn't perfect. I made a few mistakes, hopefully so you don't have to. If you're going to try the acrylic block with the alcohol markers, just make sure you have some alcohol to clean your block off with and some wet wipes to clean up the mess. Oh, and I think one more thing I wanted to do before we go. I'd like to do some splatters of gold here. I never get to play like this, so it's really fun to splatter paint, isn't it? Should definitely do it more often. Maybe I'll try a paint pen. Just doing some random white dots on here. I think I'll call that done. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and I'll see you next week. Have a great crafty weekend. Bye!